Well, I would like to welcome you to Give On to Live On, our very first organ donor awareness event. My name is Carly Hutzink, and I will be your MC for the evening. I would like to introduce you to a very pivotal person this evening. This gathering became a reality because of the situation. Rick, like many others in the state, at this very moment needs a kidney transplant. Rick Herlacher. Rick, you're the inspiration. You're it. It began a journey of something called Give On to Live On. And Rick is currently a development group consulting manager at Dematic. He is an Air Force veteran, having served in Germany at Rhein-Main Air Base for 5 years from 1984 to 1989. Rick is also a WSOP, and if you're like me, I didn't know what that meant. That means World Series of Poker. How about that? Three-time money finalist in the well-known Vegas tournament. This year, being the first that he will travel to Vegas to compete while on dialysis. He is a Colorado State Youth Bowling champion, executing a perfect 300 game as the youngest competing bowler, who later in life bowled a match with the legendary pro bowler Earl Anthony. I will not be caught on the lane with you. Rick has also served in the Big Brother program supporting challenged youth. He is the husband of 30 years of Jeanine Herlacher. But you know, accolades, accomplishments, and endeavors aside, Rick is now currently on the kidney transplant waiting list. Since his diagnosis of kidney disease in 2001, he has struggled to maintain his health. And eventually, he unavoidably reached renal failure. Earlier this year, he began dialysis 3 times a week at 5 a.m. for 4 hours each time. He chose this so that the treatments would only largely interfere, yet with his full-time job, which he is still working. He is a man adamantly determined to succeed in all aspects of life. So, Rick Herlacher, because of Give On to Live On, Rick's event, we welcome you.
Well, normally I'm used to talking in front of large crowds, but usually it's not this subject. So it makes me kind of nervous to talk about this. So bear with me, I'm not a professional speaker. First of all, I'd like to thank everybody for showing up tonight and participating in this event. It is humbling to have all of you here. I don't have words to express. This many people showed up to help people in need. That's great. It tells you what kind of country we're from. I do have kidney disease, as you've heard. And when I was asked to speak in this event, I was kind of hesitant at first because I kind of felt like maybe I was begging a little bit for an organ. And then I realized this event isn't about me or any particular individual. It's really about improving the awareness so we can get more organs for those people in need. So again, I thank all of you for participating in that awareness program. I'd like to talk a little bit about what my disease has meant to me. I'll do that in parts. The first part is accepting my disease. In 2001, I was told from a nephrologist that you have kidney disease, and that this disease, if not managed properly, could kill you. That kind of shakes you a little bit. I mean, I start thinking about mortality a lot more when somebody says you could die from something. But I really didn't accept it, because in 2001, I felt pretty good. But over the course of 10, 11 years, my key metrics started to deteriorate to the point where last year I started feeling pretty bad. I'd say maybe my roughest point was around December of last year. At that time, I decided that there really was 2 goals that I wanted to accomplish. One was, obviously, I wanted to stay alive. So that meant I had to listen to the doctors and follow their instructions. The second one, and this is kind of more of a personal thing, I did not want to be on dialysis. I really thought that dialysis meant death. And as soon as you succumb to that, you give up. So basically, those are the two goals I had. I managed to accomplish those two goals until November of last year. November was when my only qualified living donor, who had a scheduled surgery date to give me a kidney in December, was told that the blood pressure had spiked and that that person would be at risk if they gave me a kidney. When your blood pressure is high, you actually put stress on your kidneys. So those of you that have high blood pressure, pay attention to your doctor to get that down, because it could damage your kidneys. You'll end up here where I am today. So the real thing here is that donor was my wife. So it affected both of us, because we thought this was all going to get cured in December and we'd both be happy and we'd chug right along with the rest of our life. That letdown really affected us. It's almost like you lost a life because you thought you were going to save one and now you're not. So it was kind of hard on both of us, especially my wife. So what this meant was, since I no longer had a qualified living donor, I would have to basically give up the goal of trying to stay off dialysis because my kidney function had dropped to 6%. And you're not in too good a shape at 6%. I found that out. You fall asleep all the time. You don't remember things. I actually forgot the middle two digits of my Social Security number for about 6 hours one day. And I was like, how could that be? I've known this all my life. But I did. Part two of my discussion here is to deal with my dialysis, my decision to go on dialysis. So I spoke to what's called a dialysis nurse, and they explain all of your options. And I basically had 5 options as she explained it to me. The first option was what they call peritoneal dialysis. And she called it automatic peritoneal dialysis, which means there's a machine that they put on you at night, and it cleans your blood by putting a solution in your abdomen area. Works like a magnet, sucks the toxins out, then they remove the fluid. There's also manual peritoneal dialysis, very similar, except you put it in and take it out manually. Don't do it while you sleep. The third option is what they call in-center hemodialysis. The other option that she gave me about hemodialysis was basically do it at home. Hemodialysis is the one that most people are familiar with. They take your blood out of your body, run it through a mechanical filter, takes the toxins out, then they put the blood back inside you. That sounds complicated and kind of scary to me. So I avoided the hemodialysis. I wanted peritoneal dialysis. The fifth option, and this might shock you, but she said you could die. And I looked at her, what do you mean? And she said, well, you have the choice to not do any of these 4 things I've offered you, and you will die. I said, well, I better pick one. So I went with the peritoneal dialysis because I could do that at home, I thought, and it didn't sound as risky because I'm not taking anything out of my body, risking contamination and putting it back in. So 3 surgeries later, the peritoneal dialysis didn't like me, so I couldn't do it. So that left hemodialysis. Well, like I said, it's a very dangerous process. So I chose to do it in center where there are experts like doctors, nurses, and technicians, not Mr. Herlacher. Because I can see myself freaking out and killing myself if I did it myself. So I chose to do it in center. Those nurses, doctors, and technicians are wonderful people. They're very skilled, and I can't believe they do this for a living. But I haven't run into a bad person in the dialysis center. They are very caring individuals, and I don't know what I would do without them. So if there's any of those in here, thank you. Next, then, it really is about the waiting list itself. I got on the waiting list as soon as I could, which has been about a year now. And I was told at the time I got on the list that it was going to be 4 to 5 years before I would get what they call a cadaver kidney. That means somebody has signed up to donate their kidney after they die. Of course, there's a complicated formula to determine whether you get it or not. It's not a true numerical list like everybody thinks. I always ask them, what number are you on the list? There isn't really a number. They score the kidney for each individual when the kidney's available. The one with the highest score gets it. So depending on the metrics for that kidney, depending on your metrics, you could score higher for certain kidneys. So I also thought, oh geez, how about if I get on a bunch of lists? Wouldn't that help my odds of getting a kidney? Well, I was told that you can only get on one list in Michigan. So I went to Wisconsin and found out that I could get on their list. Their waiting list is about 2.5 years long. So the reason their list is only 2.5 years long and Michigan's is 4 to 5 is because they have more donors versus the number of people needing a transplant. So this event, Give On to Live On, is all about increasing our number of donors so that we can drop that from 4 to 5 years down to something more manageable, like 2.5. We got to beat Wisconsin. Let's drop it down to 1.5. Okay. So I guess in closing, I'd just like to say again, I'm humbled by the attendance here. I didn't know this many people would show this much interest, and I thank all of you for coming. It's really heartwarming to see all these people here. I thank my friends. I thank the people who don't know me for coming. Again, thank you.